Hello there, so today we're starting on a new topic, child rearing and everything in between. And specifically, the character to raising children.
So where does this come from? Before you've even thought of bringing children into the world, it is really important to think, what kind of parents are we going to be for our children? This preacher was preaching about how Abraham left an impression on his children, and he was talking more about Abraham's character and how his children were watching him as he was growing up. And one thing he said during that message was really profound to me. He said, it's not enough to want children. That was really powerful just in itself. It's not enough to want children, because he said even if children aren't coming quickly in the marriage, and we're not insensitive to that, because that we will talk about as well in this topic. But he was saying that it's actually important to pray about your character and ask God to mold you to be a parent for your children, so for your future children, for your current children. He gave the example of Samson's parents. So he said when Samson's mother was told that she was going to have a child, she just went home rejoicing, yay, I'm about to have a baby, blah, blah, blah. And the husband was stopped her and was like, hold on, what else did the angel say? And she's like, nothing, I don't know. So he said, right, next time, I know he'll come back. When he comes back, tell him to wait. And so he runs to the field where the angel is, and he says, how do we raise him?
And I think that's the most important thing. How do you raise kids? And I know a lot of people would say, well, actually, we know how to raise kids. We just kind of follow the same script that our parents followed.
Or we just go with the flow.
Or go with the flow.
I mean, you can do that.
On the job.
You can do that. Sometimes babies come without planning, and we've seen that happen. And that's also okay, because God has his wonderful way of working. But if you have time to think about it and talk about it, it is definitely worth thinking about and talking about. It's something I definitely wanted to do, was to work on my character before we had children.
Absolutely.
And so today we've got 7 characteristics that we think have really helped us as parents.
So the first one is stewardship. And stewardship is all about that level of responsibility that you feel that has been bestowed upon you to actually, 1, be responsible for those kids, and 2, to be the ones that actually help them develop, mature, and become responsible, be it citizens or Christians or whatever you want to raise them to become. That's actually noteworthy.
Knowing that you are the steward for this child on earth, so God has actually given you that responsibility. When you understand the weight of that, not to scare anybody into it, but you're actually looking after and you're growing up somebody else's wife, somebody else's husband. So whatever you're portraying or role modeling to them is what they're going to be in society.
The second one is unconditional love.
Yeah, without trying to be all psychological. There is something called attachment theory. I'm a social worker, if people don't know. But we see a lot of children who are under the social work kind of umbrella, who have grown up with poor attachments to their parents.
So what are we talking about when we say attachment?
Attachment is
the way they've
bonded with their parents.
Okay.
That's what is basic form. Attachment is bonding, right? So either their needs weren't met when they were growing up, or maybe they didn't feel that sense of unconditional love from their caregiver. And that's why we're saying unconditional love is really, really important, because a child needs to know that there's one person in the world, one person. It doesn't, sometimes it doesn't even have to be the parent, but one person in the world that is going to respond to their needs and change a child's outcomes. As parents, you have a huge job from the minute that child is born to respond to that child's needs. So when that child cries, it is expecting to be responded to. If it's not responded to, that's where you get children who grow up with all this emotional, like struggling to emotionally regulate. And all those kind of issues, because actually they learn that nobody comes when I cry. My needs are not met.
Well, do you know, I can picture some people at the moment actually going, well, that sounds about normal. What else do you expect a parent to do? That's standard.
Well, not really. Not everybody does it. Otherwise, social services would be out of a job, right? Well, if you do or have had social service involvement, it would be worth finding out about attachment theory, actually. It's quite important to children and their development. Unconditional love was important to me growing up, because obviously if you've watched the story of bad kids that I brought into marriage, and if you watched our other videos where I talk about my childhood and my dad's experience as he was getting saved and how that impacted on me, there was definitely some discrepancies in my growing up. But what kind of helped me to, I would say, be resilient, or helped show me that the world wasn't all bad, was that my mum gave me unconditional love.
Absolutely.
So regardless of how my dad treated us, my mom loved me unconditionally, regardless of what I did wrong. She would always be there to be like, I love you. And we bring that to my cassette, and we'll be also bringing that to Rhea as well.
Absolutely.
Saying, actually, when you've done something really bad, and I say this to my cassette, I say, I am not upset with you. I love you, and nothing you can do can ever stop me from loving you. And that's what Christ did for us, right? He loves us unconditionally. Nothing we can do can ever stop him from loving us. You know, we might give you consequences for your behavior, but nothing you can do will ever stop us from loving you.
Well, it reminds me of that song that you made up with Mike and Seth. I think it goes something like this. I love you when I'm mad. I love you when I'm sad. I love you when I'm glad. I'll always love you so.
Something along those lines.
Something along those lines.
Yeah.
Just to show that actually it's unconditional love. It's not about what you do.
Mm-mm.
You know, our love is not based upon that, predicated on that. It's simply, we love you unconditionally.
Unconditionally.
The third one is time.
Yeah.
And by that we mean spend vast amount of time with your children.
Mm-hmm.
Make it count.
Make it count.
Build memories. And a lot of people actually say quality time. For kids,
Mm-hmm.
love equals quality time.
There is the 5 love languages for children, which is similar to the adults one.
By Gary Chapman.
By Gary Chapman. Time is very important. I recall when I was in Zimbabwe, my mum had so much time for us because she didn't work for anybody else. She did her own thing. She was doing her own side hustles. When we came here, she went to working 2 jobs. My dad worked 3 jobs. He'd leave the house at 3 a.m. in the morning and get back at 9 o'clock at night. She would leave the house at 9 o'clock in the morning and get back at 8 o'clock at night. Time.
And to be fair, that's most parents. That's most parents, actually. That's life in general for a lot of people.
Yeah, and I feel like, yes, they had to do that. I'm not like discrediting the fact that they came from a third world country and they had to build a life for us.
Or life is hard, and you have
Would
to do
I
that.
have preferred to eat cheese on toast and have had my mum there?
Beans on toast.
Beans on toast, as they say. Yeah, I would have preferred to eat beans on toast and have had my mum there, in hindsight.
Would mum prefer you to have beans on toast? Of course
No,
not.
because I think sometimes as parents we think, oh, I want to provide for my children, I want to make sure they have the best, I want to make sure they have everything. Yeah, it's fine to do that, but actually, you don't want them growing up and going, yeah, I had nice clothes, I had a nice house, but I never saw my mum and dad. So for me, with our children, I think for us with our children, the thing is like, time is important.
I think one of the other things I was going to share on that, with time, you find that when parents are at home, there's a lot to do, right? Mm. And it's always difficult, you know, because your kid wants your time, but you've got other things to do. Mm. The best thing that we found is that actually get them involved. For example, if you need to cook, then cook with them. You know, if you need to wash something, you know, get them moving stuff, you know, picking stuff in the laundry basket, bringing it down and stuff like that. Teaching them to get involved. And that way, you actually get to spend time with them.
Quality time, and you're teaching
quality time with them. And they're also learning all these valuable skills that help them in life.
Another preacher actually said that, you know, as parents, we always want to like leave our kids out because we want to quickly cook the dinner or quickly wash the things. And then when they're teenagers, you want them to come and help you, but you've always told them not to help you from when they were children, and then you expect different behavior.
Oh, and with that, for example, with the cooking, because we do a lot of cooking with Micah, trust me, you just want to let go of all that idea of perfection and trying to get it all done quickly and stuff like that. And I know sometimes it is pressing because, you know, time is of the essence and all that. But there are moments where you literally just have to, you know, allow them to just get involved.
Literally.
And go with the process, you know, just flow with it.
The next one is patience. And patience comes with time, I guess. Patience is a virtue, and that is something I am learning every single day, guys. I'm not going to sit here and say, like, I'm the most patient mom. I am not the most patient mom. Yeah. I lose my rag sometimes. And you know, parents do. Ray is here, by the way.
Well, I was going to say, most importantly, patience in terms of allow them to develop into the person that God wants them to be. So a lot of the times we're trying to mold and shape and direct and guide. But God actually has a plan for that. And yes, as a steward, you're meant to guide them. You know, if you're being led by the Holy Spirit and you've got that leadership and ability to actually see, you know, what that child's potential is. You know, the thing is, you want to be patient enough to actually allow them to grow into their own.
Allow them to be themselves.
Yeah.
And also patience with yourself as well, knowing that don't try to be the perfect mom or the perfect dad or that kind of stuff. I've learned that mom guilt. Oh,
dad guilt. Nah. Well,
mom guilt is real, and I'm feeling that right now with Raya being here and Micah Seth being there, and just thinking, oh my gosh, I don't have as much time with Micah Seth anymore. So I need to be patient with myself and know that I can't do all of the things all of the time. It's just impossible with a newborn. And I think the more that I'm telling myself that actually either Raya will have to wait when I'm looking after Micah Seth, or Micah Seth will have to wait when I'm looking after Raya, and that's okay. That is something I'm definitely learning to do.
Well, and the next one is reflection. Well, reflection is important because as a parent, you are going to be tried and tested by your very own children.
Oh, yeah.
And I can't believe, I remember saying this to Beth, that at the age of, I think it was 2 or 3, when Micah started to talk, you know, and you could see that actually, you know, what you're saying, it's got a bit of logic there. And sometimes bring up really good points.
Micah said, "Well, out you."
So you have to reflect as a parent to actually say, "Oh, actually, that's a good point, Micah. You noted that Daddy was upset, and Daddy was angry, you know." And then you reflect as a parent to say, "Am I being a right role model in this case?"
I think like it's okay like to make mistakes as a parent, and it's okay for you to reflect and be like, you know what, I'm sorry, and
own
say
up to it and
sorry
tell them.
to your
Yeah.
child. Like I know where we came from, that was a no-no. Like the grown-up is always right. You know, I do it because I said so, right? For us, we're not like that. As
We're conscious parents.
Conscious parents. In the sense that we're human beings, and it doesn't matter because
Yeah.
we're older than the child. If we've done something wrong and it goes against our principles,
correct that.
we have to correct that, and we have to show them and role model to them what apology looks like and repentance. How are they going to learn that?
Do you know, you mentioned a really good point there. So I noted that Micah would never say his P's and Q's. He'd never say please and never say thank you. And I realised upon reflection that actually, whenever I got Micah to do something, I'd say, "Micah, go do that. Micah, go and get that. Micah, come over here, do this." And I realised I needed to change my own language to help him. Well, I needed to model to him what good language looked like, how he could actually use his P's and Q's.
Please.
And so every time I ask him that, I always say, "Please, Micah, can you go and do this?" And most parents or most people are just thinking, hang on, just tell the kid, just order it, tell him exactly what he needs to. But no, that helps model what he should be doing.
Oh, Micah would definitely tell me, he'll say to me, "Mommy, you didn't say please." And I'm like, "No, you're right, I didn't say please, I didn't say please."
Yeah.
Okay, the next one is passion.
Passion is linked to enthusiasm, just excitement. For example, when Mike wakes up, it doesn't matter whether it's 5, 6 in the morning, he's ready for the day. So passion just helps engage them at the highest level. He's ready for the day. So passion just helps engage them at the highest level.
Being passionate for me means being present. Because for me, like, I have difficulty sometimes being present in the moment. Sometimes I think too much. That's one of my issues. I think a lot about a lot. But I've realized that I need to be in the moment. This one time I came to pick up Mike. I was in a really good mood. And so I was whistling because I was in a good mood. And he was like, "Mommy, are you whistling?" And I was like, "Yeah."
Very observant.
And he's like, "You don't normally whistle. You're normally very quiet." So my kid has me on tap. He knows what I'm like. I'm always trying to bring that passion and be like, okay, I'm in the moment. Let's have fun. Let's enjoy this. Let's engage. Let's be there for this child.
And I know we touched on this earlier, but passion, again, for me, is about being real. Just being yourself with the child. Because it helps, again, model a lot of different elements to the child. So passionate in terms of, you know, just be yourself in terms of personality. There are moments where, you know, you're passionate, but you're just going to be really quiet. And that's okay. And you let them know. And they understand. You know, I remember driving home with my Gazette one time. I picked him up from school, sat in the car, started driving home. And we drive to the countryside, so there's lots of trees and farms and stuff like that. And, you know, I was trying to talk to him. I was trying to engage him. Mike, I said, "How was your day at school? You know, what was really exciting about the day?" And he just looked over at me. I can see him in the view mirror, and he said, "Daddy, shh." I was like, whoa. And he was only 4. But he wanted to be quiet.
He wanted to be quiet.
So passion, yeah, just being present in the moment, linked to that, yes.
I suppose there's plenty more, but for us, the last one is consistency. This is so important. Whatever rules, boundaries, guidelines you have set for your family or your children,
Sleep routines.
So important to be consistent. Be consistent. And
as much as humanly possible.
As much as humanly possible. Because if you don't be consistent, they will find loopholes and they will get you. So I guess if you haven't already had children, these are things that you could be practicing before you have children and be getting into, even in your own relationship, like applying all of these principles to your own relationship. Stewardship, unconditional love, time, patience, reflection, passion, and consistency are really important. And those are things that you can practice in your relationship now.
And by the way, we're not going through every single day going, "Have you practiced consistency today?" No. Or "Have you practiced unconditional love?" No. What we're trying to do.
You just have them in the background. Those are the characteristics that we want to show as parents.
So, enjoy parenting. And if not yet, then be prepared. As Scott said, be prepared. Right, have a lovely day.